You are about to see a demo of a best practice behavior-based safety tracking system. The system that you will see is pre-configured as a best practice system, but it is very configurable because each organization has its own specifics when it comes to behavior-based safety. This is to say that although you will see a behavior-based safety form with specific behaviors and discussion questions, these would be replaced by your organization's requirements. Let's take a look at the best practice system. I'm now logged in as an end user, probably a BBS observer, or possibly a person wanting to analyze BBS data. When I log in, I come to this landing dashboard. What I first see are various widgets or windows of data and information. Below the welcome screen, I see a widget that will allow me to open a BBS observation. Let's do that now. And our BBS form opens. The form is configured into different sections. We have a description section with some introductory information. Then we have some behavioral sections with behavioral categories and the specific behaviors listed under them. We have a post-observation checklist and a complete button. We also have some options out in the right-hand side. Let's look at these in more detail. First, the description section, we have different fields. One is the drop-down list for the observer, and we would see the names of all the potential observers in our system. We also have a text box, which allows us to put in specific location details. We have a drop-down box with the number of people observed. We have a list of values where we can choose whether this was an employee or a contractor. The following sections contain behavioral categories, as we said, like body position and body use ergonomics. And within each category, we list the individual behaviors. Each behavior has an info button defining what the behavior looks like. There are then check boxes under each behavior, one for safe and one for at-risk behavior. You will notice that when I checked the at-risk box, new fields displayed. These fields are designed to walk the observer through the behavioral feedback discussion. Is the observed person aware of the behavior? Do they agree that it is at risk? A description of the at-risk behavior, the reason for that at-risk behavior, and what happened or was suggested. The observer would work their way down through the form, checking any safe or at-risks, and filling in the fields. After the behavioral questions are some post-observation questions designed to be answered by the observee. Did the observee understand the behavioral definitions? And we have a drop-down for yes or no for these questions. Was the intent of the observation communicated? Did the observer maintain a safe distance? Was positive feedback communicated first? Is the at-risk behavior feedback understood? And did the observer listen to the feedback? And so again, just have a drop-down on yes or no and a field for other comments. You can see that out on the right-hand side, we have some more menu options. Actions can be attached to a behavioral observation. Simply click the action button, and we have a new action button that displays here. And if we click on that, the new action screen opens. In the new action screen, you want to put your action, the action text, some other fields. Some of these may not be relevant, but you can add and subtract fields here. You have the assignor, which would be your own name would come in here by default. And you choose a responsible of who you want to do this action. You could choose yourself if you want to just keep track of your own actions. You have different fields, action level, hierarchy of controls. You also have the choice of whether you want to schedule an action. So in the case of maybe a monthly inspection, if you want to set up a monthly inspection, that would be a scheduled, and you can set up a scheduled action. but maybe you just want to have a one-off action. So you would choose once off, select a due date, and save your action. Once this is saved, the person named as the responsible will receive an email notification notifying them of the pending action. You'll see that the action is now here in the behavior-based safety observation, and it is part of it. You can also add attachments. Maybe you take a picture during the observation, and you can choose your file and upload the file just like you would with email. You can add hyperlinks as well if you need to. And we're now finished with the observation. But before we leave the form, we should repeat any of the fields that we see can be changed, reordered, or deleted. And field choices can be, as we saw, checkboxes or radio buttons or text boxes, drop downs, name lists, dates, times, and most other fields you could need. Sections can also be combined, deleted, or created to organize your data collection in the way that you want to see it. Then at the bottom of the form, we have a complete button. This moves your record to a complete status, and you are returned to the landing dashboard where you first started. And the recently collected data has now been added to the various widgets in the dashboard. So let's take a look at the dashboard. It has various configurable windows or widgets. We have here a widget that shows us the different locations. These could be your departments or your sites and how many observations have been done. We could have another widget that shows similar information, but with a breakdown by month. This widget shows the number of observations done by the various observers within your company. And then we have the behavioral widgets. This widget is showing the behavioral categories, and we can show that in a pie chart. We could also show it in a bar chart view. We could also show number of safes, number of at-risks. This widget is broken down by a specific behavior, just line of fire, and how many safe and how many at risk. And then it is further broken down by the entity, or in your case, it could be the site or the department level. And you may want to interact with your data. And a neat thing about this system is that you can drill down into most of these charts and interact with your data. So if we look at, for instance, a line of fire, and we see that there are 2 at risk down here at the improvement project, if you were part of that project, you might want to find out more information about them. So by clicking on that, you actually drill down into the data, and you can see them listed here, the 2 that have the at-risk behavior, and you can open those and interact with those in more detail. So you can scroll down and find the specific behavior, the line of fire that was at risk, and read more about it. And you could even create actions here if you want to. Where that widget had taken us was to the events register. Let's go and look at the events register now, because we can go there independently at any point. And there we have the ability to filter and interact with data and do ad hoc reporting. There are various filters that we have at our disposition. The first 2 are the org unit and the entity. Org units and entities define your organization's hierarchy and will allow you to sort and report on data according to that hierarchy. Your hierarchy can be complex or very simple, as we have here. For our org unit, we only have the company name, and for the entity, we would have the various departments. Org units represent the higher levels of your organization, and you may have as many levels as you want. So, for instance, if you have a multi-site organization within North America, you might have North America at the highest level, and then Canada, US, and Mexico being at the next level. And then the third level, you could have the various sites or plants or locations. And then at the entity level, you could have your departments. So it is important for each organization to determine how they want to sort and report on their information. You can also sort on the reporter. So an individual reporter could come in here to look at just their own observations if they want to. You can search by dates, start date and end date. You could search by maybe just those in a complete status, or maybe all, some that are still open. There's even a search field for text where you can look for text in any of the text boxes in your observation. Again, this is a powerful tool for looking at and interacting with your data. Let's lastly look at the Actions tab. We see here in the Actions tab the action that we just created, the need to talk about forklift safety in the next toolbox meeting. And the Action tab also has the same types of filters that the Events tab had, and you can do ad hoc reporting here. So you could find out all the actions that are maybe open or even overdue within a certain org unit or a certain entity, or that were open within certain dates, or that have certain text involved in them. So this behavior-based safety tracking system is very simple yet complete. You have a dashboard where your users can quickly and easily add behavior-based safety observations. They can add actions to those behavior-based safety observations. They can then track the overall data in their dashboard, or if needed, go to the Events or Actions tab to interact with your data in more detail.